Undertale's an RPG pixel art game that I've loved for a super long time, so Color me stoked that for our 400th celebration, he voted for me to play it. Margaret didn't understand what he said, but was flattered anyway. Blushes deeply, Ribbit. But I thought to myself, why not make it a 2-for-1? So not only did I play the game, but I made myself into an enemy, animations and all. One other reason I think Undertale's art stands out so much is due to its 1-bit pixel art during fights. All 1-bit is just one color though. Technically 2 since it's black and white, but it's called 1-bit anyway. The thing I'm doing here is just trying to figure out how I want to pose myself at least. The idea behind it is that once I know the size of the eyes, I can do the rest of the body. The only issue is, my eyes are very distinct, and to get that into a sprite is really difficult, it turns out, especially when I can only use one color. And here, I take a character, I believe her name is called Mew Mew Kissy Cutie, and because she has a very anime-ish eye, like mine, I tried to use it for reference, but you can kind of see how that went. It didn't work, so I thought, okay, maybe if I make the face bigger or just make a white background to kind of try to carve and chisel away at where I can do the eye at. But that didn't work as well. I'm just trying to add a shine or a sheen to the eye, trying to add eyelashes, just do a general outline and then mirroring it. Then I try to tilt it and add a mouth, but as you can see, it didn't go well. The thing about me is that I have, what would you call it? Fangs? Canines? Well, you see. And it doesn't look good or at least I couldn't make it look good. The idea behind this pose was that I wanted to have a microphone to show off I was voicing, but microphone didn't turn out, but I tried at least. I didn't like the way the legs turned out as well, so I ended up going with a skirt. But for now, I just tried to do an armature version, which is just posing. Didn't work out. After I do the pose, I'm just trying to get a general outline of how I want everything to look. I'm trying to add the hair, to create different styles, as well I do like the buns and they're very signature. I wanted to see if I should do a different type. Going back after I'm realizing I can't do that or it's difficult, I cloned the head to measure and keep everything up to scale. And here I'm just going in and trying to add details and trying to add the bangs. Thought about adding the ears, didn't add the ears. And I really do think the buns ended up looking like fish fins. I do change that later to make it look a little bit better. All I'm trying to do here is get the, the bare minimum of the character, i.e. what makes the character, and I'd say my hairstyle's pretty unique. I tried adding some of the front parts, back parts. Here I'm trying to figure out the arms, and I tried to add a really poofy sleeve. Didn't work out. So I go back to the idea of maybe I can add a microphone. I add some dithering for the microphone. I add some dithering to the microphone to make it look like a microphone. Here I'm trying to figure out, okay, how can I show it's a hand with only 2 colors? Which again, this was a fun challenge. I think overall I had a difficulty, but it was fun. Usually I draw in a lot of color. After that though, I tried to think about faces. You can kind of see Mr. on the cat face. I'm trying to make her look less creepy. And granted, I am very creepy looking, but I'm not that creepy. At least I hope not. But after going through all of this, I go back and change the posing, change the arms. I'm just trying to figure out what looks nice to look at, and it doesn't work out. I'm thinking maybe poofy sleeves, maybe I can then move the color out of it to help show off the clothing. I'm just keeping in my backlog, looking at other Undertale sprites and taking inspiration from that. After that, I add in the hair, and I definitely do like this part about 1-bit, is you can just show that you're using color. As in, I only have to do the outline of the hair to show that it's hair. And bam, it's hair. Here, it was a little tricky. I'm looking at references to try to figure out what do I do for the bottom. And in the end, I decided on a skirt, though it took me a second. I thought maybe I should do some pants, maybe some shorts. I'm going back and just constantly re-editing the face and the mouth. Doing all of that, I thought, yeah, cheeks, very important to do. Here, I'm just going over and over again, figuring out mouth shapes, mouth styles. And I like that smile, so I kept it. And then I thought, okay, singing's out. Let's just do a typical regular pose, I think would be a little bit better. And wouldn't you know it, I put old Bobby in there. That's him. Does it look like him? So I add him in there and I'm thinking to myself, alright, it's a little cute. I technically don't have to add the rest of the body, as it kind of is a silhouette, is I think what makes it a little bit easier. just by adding the important parts in light, everything else can kind of be considered in shadow. And after that, using my knowledge from studying pixel art clothing, I was able to come up with, I think it's a cute dress. I had some ruffles, I add a bit of shading to it and everything once I figure out Bobby. Then I'm just going in and mirroring, adding the feet, adding the legs, and while doing this, it made me think of Friday Night Funkin', where they hold their microphones really closely. And I think that's kind of the look I was going for, where it was a microphone, but now it's just a squid plushie. Going back in, I try re-editing the eyes. I wasn't really satisfied with it, but the more I edited it, the more alien it looked. And I am an alien, but not that alien, not the green little guy types with really long pointy fingers. So all I'm doing here is just touching up everything for the animation. And onto animation, what I do first is I separate everything. I'm separating Bobby into his own layer, I separate my head into its own layer, and then I separate the skirt and shoes into its own layer. I'm trying to just touch up things here and there to see if, hey, if I add more lines, does it make sense? And you can kind of see me flail around Bobby everywhere, and I'm thinking, yeah. In Undertale, the animations are really silly. So I thought, let's make it really silly and really violent and exaggerate it with the arms and the hands with the plushie. So I'm just separating it so I can move it. And now I'm adding a bob up and down effect to slowly show the animation as this is the idle pose. So I want everything to feel idle. And to better help separate everything, I'm going in and just making a black outline and then filling in what isn't part of the layer, if that helps. And up and down goes Bobby, so then adding the black outlines. That's all there is to it, which is nice. Because it's one bit, you don't have to do too much, which is definitely helpful. And I think also one bit, it's also easier to animate. So I'm just going in and I'm kind of offsetting the up and down bounce. It's only 4 frames, but 4 frames is more than enough. And then after I do the bouncing of the head, I then try to add a bit of a hair animation. And this was certainly tricky, but I like how it came out in the end. All this is just adding motion. I started off with a sort of puffiness feel, but that didn't look right. So I'm just checking the window up there and going back in and seeing how I can make it look a little bit more flowy. The animation is set to ping pong, so it goes back and forth, instead of looping over and over again. After I figure out one fluffy side for up and down, then I go in and I copy and paste the left side to the right side to make it a little bit more symmetrical, as I realized I wrote them or I drew them separately. So here I just go in and I re-copy, paste, and put them in together. So yeah, you can see I paste and I just touch it up a little bit so it looks like it's from that side. I think if I did this again, I would do more mirror, but I think having it be asymmetrical helps it feel less copy and paste, less foreign. But I mean, if I'm going for a foreign alien look, it kind of helps a little bit, right? So after this, I add, you can kind of see the little hip shakes and I'm having a laugh. I just find the little animations very funny. But I go back in and I try to add a little bit of animation, not too much. Here I'm trying to animate the dress to see if it helps with adding more motion, as it's an idle animation, but idles can be a little boppy. Trying to go up and down with the bops. I'm trying to see, okay, maybe it's more like a ghost where they're standing still, but it looked like knife feet, so I changed that back. It's just up and down, up and down. Here I cut the dress up, make it longer to make it look like it's bending. And then I go back on the feet. And then I'm taking away white to make it look like there's more motion in the back. And I think it came out well. I tried adding a part at the front of the dress though. Didn't come out well, so I changed my mind on that. After that, I go in and just separate everything, and I think, yeah, I start on the attack animation, and this one was super fun. It's like, alright, how can I make it creepy and dangerous? First, I think when you're getting hit, right, it's a sudden violent jerk. So nothing needs to be round, everything needs to be very sharp. So that's what I'm doing to the hair here. I'm making the hair sharp and pointed, like knife hair, very, you don't want to touch it. And after that, again, just spooky, so no eye pupils, as that does happen on occasion. I'm bobbing up and down, changing the sharpness of the hair, and I'm doing the animation all over again where it's just bounce. I forget what it would be called for the not pixel art, animation technique, where it overextends. So it's a big stretch, and it overextends, and then it comes back. That is the idea, philosophy behind that animation part. You can see pushes in, pushes out. So it looks like it's exaggerated. And again, I just copy and paste the hair into place, and that is that for the hair animation. Very much like a knife. That's what I was thinking as I was looking at it. And from here, I make the, it looks like a violent hit. I'm just checking in the preview constantly to make sure it's looking nice and it's looking alright. After that, I add some points to the dress to, again, add that emphasis of pain and damage. For the legs, I add a bit of a glitchy effect. And I also go back in for the face and add a glitchy effect, and all I am is just shifting the pixels to one side. And from there, now it's a matter of doing attack. And for this, I got a little bit silly. I thought, okay, instead of actually attacking you, I'm just going to show Bobby as violently as I can towards you in your face, and you have to look at him. If you don't look at him, something's wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with me. So then I add a mouth, and you can see the mouth going on and on as a sort of rambling attack. I'm just gonna overwhelm you with facts. That was the idea behind the animation, and then you can see I had a really silly mid-frame. So, how do you think it came out? I really like it, and I suggest you give this challenge a try too. It was tricky, but I also think it's easier in a sense because it uses only one color. If you'd like to try it, the canvas size I used was, let me look, 80 by 96. So 80 by 96 and only use black and white, and tell me, tag me, or if you're in the Discord, cough cough, do it in there and show me, and I'd love to see it. Your OC or you, or that sounds like fun. Thank you once again for 400 subs and 500 subs now. I still can't get over that, but me and Bobby, thank you, and I will surely figure out something. 100% I will figure out something. Also let me know what you'd like to see. More Undertale, some Pixelart challenge or something of the sorts. We have a little bit of time. I want to give it a second to breathe so I can make sure I have stuff out before we do another celebration. But I appreciate it wholeheartedly, and I'll stop rambling and I'll get out of your hair. Thank you and bye-bye.